Hi, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us on this adventure as we introduce you to ESET Cybersecurity Awareness Training, one of our newest additions to the family. We're just going to give it a few minutes whilst we're waiting on a few more people to join, and we'll be with you shortly. Okay, fantastic. Everyone, thank you so much for making the time to join and to sit with us in on this session. It's been much anticipated, especially for our African continent. It's really made ground and broken a lot of headways in the US. So we're excited to see what ECAT is about to do for our session. Just before we begin, just a little bit of housekeeping. This webinar will be recorded and we will be able to share this with you after the session. Kindly note that everyone will be muted, but there is a Q&A section that will be posted. So please feel free to drop your questions into the chat. And please do let us know from which part of the African continent you're joining us. We'll be really keen to engage with you and we look forward to it. So before we kickstart, just a round of introduction. We are really excited to have you with us today. I am Donnelly Pillay, a Senior Account Manager with ESET Southern Africa. I've been with the company for just over 6 months now, and I'm really keen to see what ESET has done and what we're about to do going forward. Just a little introduction to myself and my background. I am in the channel space and the distribution space and have been for the last 14 years across different technologies such as hardware, software, and cybersecurity. And I'm really honored to have with me on the call hosting is Lucas Molefe, one of our cybersecurity consultants who has a plethora of wealth and knowledge across cybersecurity, hardware, software, networking, and so forth. So yeah, we're really keen to walk you through our journey. Before we can get into our ESET cybersecurity awareness training modules and what we have to offer, for those that do not know, ESET is a global cybersecurity company specializing in antivirus data, identity protection, endpoint protection for businesses and privately owned companies for home users globally. And we've been in the market for over 35 years. So since its inception in 1992, we've been busy with development, with creative and proactive intelligence solutions, protecting against a forever evolving threat landscape, curbing digital trends that cybersecurity has brought into the market. And also a really exciting fact that ESET also participates in a high-profile research and is a founding member of Google's App Defense Alliance, which helps protect against Google Play Store. What else do we have? We actually have 11 R&D centers that are situated globally that's constantly busy with research and development across the threat landscape, and we are a proven industry leader in this space. So before we get into the actual content, I thought we'd just go through a little bit of the stats, both from a global and a continent perspective, to show you exactly where we're at as an organization. And if we look at this current trajectory that's in front of you, we can see that according to IBM's latest threat report, the cost of a data breach that is at risk by you not allowing enough education in your environment over the last 10 years, in effect, actually positions itself quite significantly in our market. And if we look at what we're projecting globally for 2025, 185 trillion rand from just data breaches. And according to IBM's from their research, enhancing cybersecurity and enhancing cyber education actually improves cyber resilience and can reduce the risk of a data breach by up to 25%. Cybercrime, which has been a hacker's paradise over the years, and just as security evolves, so are cybercriminals using methods to bypass some of the world's most robust software. And we can see this depicted in the trajectory from a global landscape where monetary predictions are heading to with the stats that IBM has actually shared with us. So what does this mean actually? If we look at the H1 threat report that we've received, there's been an increase in just H1 of 2025 of up to 28.2%. That is just on Trojan attacks across things like apps and so forth. And a new social engineering threat called ClickFix that has surfaced actually shows a massive amount of actually 500% in ClickFix detection. And for those that don't know, ClickFix is actually an attack that is a deceptive social engineering method where a user is tricked into actually manually executing malicious code. It relies on human trust, and that can bypass by automated security measures because the user can't actually take action themselves. And these are massive numbers if you look at it both globally and from an Africa perspective. So what does this actually mean for our continent? Africa is actually an emerging phishing hotspot. And if you look at it, of the 28% phishing attacks globally, 31% of those threats reside in Africa as an emerging market. And if we look at a deep dive into those in that percentage, based on the stats, we can see how the increase of Trojans and vulnerabilities deployed over HTML links, agents, and applications across the African market has contributed to it being a cybercrime hotspot. What are we looking at across our phishing attacks? In South Africa, things have been a lot more prevalent because of things like high internet usage. It's regarded as a more stable economy, relatively strong in the space. However, vulnerabilities and cybersecurity practices also come into play because this has now become a paradise for cybercriminals. And if you look at it, a massive 52.8% increase just in H1 of 2025 across the different verticals that I've spoken about. So how does this play out from a global standpoint? Of the 28% of threats that are out there globally, you can actually see that 31% of the threats reside in Africa, with 52% of that stat contributed from South Africa. And that is really, really alarming. So what does this slide actually depict to us from our InfoStealer detections that we've actually received? It actually presents a 7-day moving average of malware detections. And there's actually a 7% drop in overall detections in H1 2025 versus what we had seen in H2 of 2024. Data breaches affect everyone, not just large organizations, mom and pop shops, SMBs, everybody is impacted by actual data breaches. And it can also be linked to leaked personal information, including identity, financial, and health data. So we got to ask ourselves, as consumers, as businesses, as people, why do businesses actually need cybersecurity training or human risk management? And before we can even get into that, it's actually Nelson Mandela that said, education can be used as a weapon to change the world. And that is a risk that we sit with on a daily basis. Security is a grudge purchase, and not many organizations actually opt for it as part of their IT strategy, as part of their operational strategy. So what we need to do is emphasize the need for actual human risk management and a strategy thereof. So if we actually think about it, who is the greater threat? Is it the cyber criminals that are out there busy in the back end lurking and coming up with creative methods and AI strategies to try and curb our knowledge and penetrate networks and look at the vulnerabilities thereof? Or is it actually our own users sitting in our organization in the back end, minding their business, not focused on what's actually out there in the world and is completely oblivious to what's happening out there? Who do we channel this to? The actual answer is Unfortunately, both. And here's why. If we look at this slide that depicts the actual impact of data breaches, a massive 74% of breaches are actually caused by the human element. 10% of SMBs actually went out of business after experiencing a data breach. And the actual average cost, according to IBM, for 2024 was a massive 86.7 million rand of a data breach. And in our very own continent, we have seen the impact of such breaches affected by some of the large corporations such as Eskom, Transnet, Tshwane University of Technology, and just as lately as April 25, Ham Golding Properties was also impacted by a data breach. So how does this affect us? Us as a business, us as consumers, us as individuals? If we look at our personal information that's actually leaked, before we can even realize and without enough proactive monitoring, it's going to take an average of 194 days before you as a business actually understands, wow, my data's been compromised. And what does that mean? That means that the cost of that's affecting you to actually go ahead and obtain a fast strategy to recover that data means you're already risking that into the public space, into the dark web. And as a result, it impacts your businesses because the cost of your product actually goes up. There's a loss of jobs because you're trying to recover from what you've actually lost. I mean, 63% of organizations actually plan to increase their prices as a mere fact because of. What we need to also understand as businesses is that there are tons of regulatory requirements that actually requires you for the need to have cybersecurity awareness, educating your people. And what this slide actually highlights is some of the key compliances across insurances and considerations that organizations actually need to be aware when handling sensitive data and operating across different regions. I mean, within South African borders alone, the parameter we focus on, which is POPIA, actually ensures that personal data is handled lawfully, responsibly, and is securely managed. However, it helps us to implement cybersecurity awareness so that it meets regulatory compliance requirements such as HIPAA, GDPR, and POPIA will actually require you to have a security posture by cybersecurity awareness. So, and they actually recommend training for its employees. So, if we have to ask ourselves, why should companies actually choose ESET for cybersecurity awareness training? What is the actual need? Now, with this being launched globally, we actually want to dive into what do you actually get with ESET Cybersecurity Awareness Training? Well, ECAT is a platform with a learning management system that offers comprehensive, interactive, and cybersecurity training courses with the ability for you to actually create custom quizzes or upload courses, making it your own. There's key training topics like phishing, spam, internet safety, personalized threats such as social engineering, malware. Internet safety modules actually cover safe practices while working remotely. With the use of AI coming into daily operational functionality, we actually see that web filtering, safer browsing, the VPN usage option all plays a part with each of these courses. There's also things like the platform that focuses on helping users recognize phishing attempts, phishing simulations. On the back end, there's also password security guidance that covers creating strong passwords, managing passwords, and looking at things like, do our employees actually know what two-factor authentication or multi-factor authentication is? I mean, for the administrator, there's scanning and reporting that actually helps you understand, okay, how well and how knowledgeable are my people? So in essence, what we're looking at and what you receive is an online cybersecurity awareness training module completed at a learner's own pace and can be repeated as often as they need. It's not timed, so that means that you're not on a deadline to have to complete it and you can't make reference to it again. You also receive recognized certifications that actually boost professional credibility for your staff. Even if they're on a different career path and choose to look at other alternative employers out there, they still carry with them the professional knowledge of cyber awareness. Coupled with this is interactive sessions and role playing, which is really exciting from the gamified perspective of how we can help engage the learners to spot phishing attacks. So what we're looking at is your actual ease of use for your dashboard. If you look at our administrators that actually want to go ahead and look at those reports, it actually gives them access to help understand the overall risk and assessment of the levels of their employees. There's a customizable training portal with your logo that you can put on there, a custom URL, or even if you need to use different API plugins, we have a full API offering that will help you to go ahead and plug into that. You also got password security guidance that covers everything about creating strong passwords as an organization, to everything that you need to better equip your team, your employees, and your staff to be more cyber aware in an ever-changing threat landscape. But all of this information actually comes together in a really keen and beautifully created demo platform, which my colleague Lucas is going to actually show to you. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Lucas so that he can better show you how it's positioned and how this actually comes to life. Lucas, over to
Thank
you.
Thank you very much, Donnelly. Really appreciate it. Welcome once again, everyone. He's already made the introductions of who I am, right? So I was actually, Donnelly, looking at the chats, and I was very excited. I see people from Somalia here, Kenya, Namibia, Zimbabwe, South Africa. So it's very, very amazing to have everyone here right now, right? So just to quickly get into the demo that we're going to be doing today, right, where I'll be focusing on it today, right, is that you must understand that ECAT helps your team learn cybersecurity in a way that sticks. Right. So this will basically boost the engagement and memory of your staff so that you will be confident that you've actually turned them into everyday security heroes. Right. With that being said, let's just quickly go through this and have a look at what we can see. Right. So, um, as we start right now, you will be actually seeing a learner platform, right? In front of us, we have a learner platform of which it is just focusing on the actual learner. So you do the courses and so forth, but then we have another portal called the administrative portal, of which my colleagues had actually mentioned, where the actual administrator is able to give them access and so forth, of which we'll get into that just a bit later. All right. Now, as you can see, with these two portals, they have two different links. One focuses on admin dot cybersecurity training, and the other one is learner dot cybersecurity training. Right. So let's quickly log into the learner portal. So when we look at the learner portal, the dashboard itself just gives us a nice clean dashboard to give an understanding of the actual learner what you are going to do, right? So you have the courses enrolled, you have in progress courses or not started. Not only that, this actually helps you have an understanding of overdue courses as well. So all of this is actually just a pane of glass helping the learner to understand what needs to be done and what is actually not done. Speaking about the overdue, now you need to understand that in a sense where my colleague mentioned something where you can actually do the course, stop at your actual own pace. You will see the different dates. On the first one, it said June 2023 or July 2025, and the other one is in October the 31st. So the delay there can be actually changed, and you can change it at any given time. Then you will see the completed courses, my account details, and also helpful links when you have an issue. Right, so you'll be able to report to your admin or HQ, and also we see recent certificates that I actually have done. All right, so it's just a simple, very much easy to understand, very much easy to navigate. Right. Now, what we're going to go through is the courses, programs, and actually make you see how the certificate looks like, right? So the certificate, the courses itself, I'm first going to have a look at the ESET Cybersecurity Awareness Training just to see how it looks, just to see what you get out of this actual course, right? So you can assign more than one course for each and every individual, depending on their scale or understanding, because some actually don't have an understanding of what maybe phishing is and so forth, right? So this you can actually assign as we go now. So as we look at the cybersecurity awareness training, which is actually one of my favorite ones, it's the latest one that we currently have in 2025. So if you just click there, you click on begin. So it gives you now a rundown just about the training, what it basically looks, right? But you'll be able to see that on the difference on what all of them look like, all right? Now, what we're gonna have a look at is the programs, okay? Now, the programs focus on where you actually look at the programs that everyone can actually get, right? Now, this is based on if, let's say, you want to assign more things for them to understand, you can add it here. But I'll show you the programs in the admin portal. Now, let's have a look at the certificate because of we're talking so much about all the other things. How does the actual certificate look? Can I share the certificate with anyone? Can I actually download the certificate? And here we are. You can actually share the certificate and also basically download it, right? So very important is that you will see that it states ESET Cybersecurity Awareness Training, which comes back to the compliance that my colleague actually spoke about, right? So that's where your compliance actually comes through. So we're going to go back quickly to the dashboard. Right, I want to have a look at the completed courses because I need to highlight something very important. So, as you can see, the first one speaks about the phishing, right? Like social engineering. Okay, this particular one is not focused on anything but just information, giving you information, right? This one doesn't have any certificate at all. So there's different courses that you do. Ones have certificates, others do not have certificates. Others are just to improve and make your staff better at what they do. Okay. Now looking at this Express Cybersecurity Awareness Training, what happens is that we actually have a look at the role play that we speak about and also the interactive approach that we actually spoke about. So just having a look, you'll see there it says you are in a new team of cybersecurity company Net Detect. So you, this team member, right? So the interactive sessions and the role play activities engaging the learner. Right, going further gives an understanding what the VPN is. Not only that, you further look at the browser web, how to browse the web safer. Okay, now what I very much like about this is that it shows us how to actually have best practices from poor practice cards. So it actually, you choose a card, it tests your knowledge, right? And then what you do, it immediately gives you an understanding that you are right here. So this is basically where we are, right? So that is just a basic understanding of what the actual learner portal is all about. So just not taking much of your time, let me quickly just view the admin portal. So when we talk about the admin portal, right, we are talking about where the action takes place. So we've seen the actual learner portal, how it looks, how a learner is able to interact with the cybersecurity awareness training. Right now, looking at the administrator, we dive a bit deeper to see what the administrator can actually do and what he can actually give us. So, with that being said, if you have any questions, please do not forget to type them on the chat on the QA session, and then we will just have a look at them as we go along. All right, with that being said, let me just quickly log in to the admin portal. All right, now understand this thing. So as you can see there, I'll be using a password manager. Very important, you need to have a password manager, just saying. Right now, looking at our login, you see our easy to use dashboard overview where you track the learner status, right? So this is where you track all the information, what's happening, what's going on within the actual learners, right? Now, the first part of it, we're looking at the actual testing, right? The testing of the actual phishing task. Right now, this is a panel that shows us what is currently the testing stats, right? What is currently learning, what is scheduled, what is actually completed as well. So this dashboard only just shows us that, right? Now, very important, there was a question that we actually asked ourselves: what is this testing meaning, or an understanding of this testing? So the testing there basically means where you the phishing, sending phishing campaigns to test or train people to become better, and you are actually able to see the overall risk of your workforce, right? Where you have the simulations and so forth. Now, coming to our courses, right, you'll be able to see that the course has also a similar stats. It shows you the stats. As we can see, we enrolled 81 people, 81 training courses, and then we have 62 that's still not started, 11 actually in progress, and 8 currently completed. Right now, looking at the activity of this is basically showing the activity based on the phishing and also based on the courses. Now, the phishing one specifically, it gives us an understanding of what is happening. For example, the emails that were sent, emails that were opened, and also who clicked on it, right? So it gives us a rundown of what that is. Now, data extended speaks on you using your username and password or filling the missing details right there. Okay, and this is only you can choose how to change this. You can change this to 30 days, 60 days, and so forth. So is it actually with your courses that you actually do, right? So when we look at the course activity, you'll see now it says a certain number in progress and a certain number actually have completed the courses, right? Now, when we change the actual last seen, or the actual average date, or the date and time, you're actually able to see that there now becomes a consistency of, okay, how many actual actual courses were being done, phishing simulations were actually sent out, and then you're able to see all that data, and you will be able to understand, okay, do I need to give this information more to my people? What do I do, and so forth, right? And speaking of that, you see we currently have a running phishing activity test, right? So this is where you see that, and then just on your right or someone's left, you're able to see the newest library templates added as well. So every time templates are being added, every time templates are being updated, but we'll see that as we go along, right? Now I'm going to speak towards the drop down menu. Now the test campaign, right, or test and campaign. Here we use the test campaign module to create and manage or view the phishing campaigns, right? So it speaks directly to the actual testing that we spoke about earlier. So you're able to change that here, able to view that here, and able to give more to people. Then we have the targets, right? Now, when you speak about the targets, it contains the groups, phishing campaigns, and also where you can do integrations of Google Workspace and Microsoft Intra ID. Looking at the school, here it's exactly the same as running a campaign, but here you actually create the students, you actually manage them, and also view all the courses and create your own content as well, right? Coming back to what my colleague mentioned, that you can customize this as we go along. So the templates tab, when we talk about the templates tab, it actually shows us the phishing templates, right? And we're able to create our own templates and manage already existing templates. But we'll look into that, the library, at a later stage, right? Sorry. So going into our reports, right? Now, our reports basically allows us to generate charts, tables, and fetch raw data from both phishing and training capabilities, right? So we also going to go through basically just a short report to have a look how it looks, how it's actually generated, what can we actually generate at the same time. All right. Now you can have course reports, you can have other reports as well. Now the admin portal or the admin tab here focuses on the account information where you can create users, add users. You have a user, you have an administrator, and you have a super user, and also have logs if you have any issues. And the integration actually happens right here. Now when we talk about the report or the resources, this speaks to how we can actually manage the whole portal as a whole. So let's have a look at the actual template. If you have any questions, you can ask. This is actually the time as well, right? So you will see that it will show us 1 to 48 or 831. Now, please note that you can request all the templates that you want as you want, right? Now on your left, you'll see content, department, difficulty level, experience, industry, and region, right? And all of this content and things are being added as we actually go along. So we have a company here, right, that we're actually testing this, and this agency basically deals with Facebook a lot. So we actually had a look, okay, what can we actually provide for this actual company where they focus a lot on Facebook? Okay, so let me just actually search for that. So you will see that there's two, right? One speaks about the password, one speaks about the data. And speaking about the difficulty layer, this is a level 2 layer, which is a bit easier than a level 5 to actually pick up, right? So let's have a look at this one. So this one speaks of your password. You need to secure your account. And if someone in this agency would then click on secure this account, we would have basically a screen that will show us that you are actually phished. But not only showing you, it gives you an understanding that you need to understand that what you've done, it's actually I've acknowledged that I clicked on the link that I was not supposed to click, and also teaches you what you need to look at. Look at the domains, look at the spoofing links, and so forth. So it gives you an understanding what are the things that you need to look at, right? Now, let's say Mark in this company actually clicked on this information. You are able to then, the minute he clicks on acknowledge, a report is given, and you are able to assign other programs to him, right? Now, looking at the data leak one specifically, how it looks, and obviously me working with Facebook, when I see this, right, if I do not have training, the minute I click on that, it immediately tells me that, oh no, you've been phished, right? And gives you an also illustration that this is a simulation to test where you are. And once you go through all the email security best practice, you click on it and acknowledge. This then helps to have an understanding that what the administrator basically needs to do from there, which is very important to understand that this is actually to help you become better in understanding what is happening in the cybersecurity landscape as well, or understanding it. So then we have another company. This is Data King company. They focus a lot or deal a lot with OneDrive, right? Files, folders, and so forth. So looking at this, you see immediately it's a level 5. So the tiers have changed automatically, right? Because of the data breaches we've experienced in South Africa, this would be a tier 5 that you need to go through. Right now, looking at the actual your OneDrive is inactive and what it actually caters for us. The minute a person clicks on review or look into this further, then it actually sends you to the following page, right? Where Mark or Bob will actually type their username or the password. The minute they click on reset, it gives us another illustration of, hey, Bob, you actually have been phished, all right? Bob needs a lot of training. So the minute Bob gets this, he needs to go through this. This is basically a training page to make him understand what are the warning signs that he actually needs to look at, of which we went through. Now, looking further, we're going to see the different content types. We have courses, we have phishing emails, we have landing pages, training emails, training pages, and last but not least, what I actually spoke about earlier, the course programs. Now, course programs, currently we have two, right? Now, course programs are updated as we go along. So we have one where it speaks about awareness training, consisting of 7, and we're gonna have a look at that, right? which here we speak about safer browsing, insider threats, and also gives you an understanding of the quizzes that you can actually go through, check out, and become better at what you do. Then we're going to look at the foundational security awareness training. This I love so much because it looks at a lot of things: foundational security awareness, removable media security, and secure internet browsing. Right, just to mention a few, but this is basically what you would actually get out of this. All right, so it's very important to have your questions, ask them. We're more than welcome to actually look at those questions as we go along. Now we're actually going to go to the templates that focuses on the courses. Right, the courses that we're currently having, you'll see that there's a lot of courses that we currently have that are running. Right, but I want to specifically look at the 2022 social engineering and insider threat standalone. Now, this is basically a cybersecurity training that feels like a game, making security stick with the play. Right? So it turns learning into an adventure with role play and interactive scenarios that makes spotting threats second nature. Right? So as we start, it gives us a personalized threats. This you can even assign to people you want them to understand, to learn more how these questions are posed to them, and so forth. Right? So you acting as the actual the super robot right there, the super AI robot right there, and you're speaking to this particular person. So it gives you an illustration of that, a gamified view of it. Right? Now, looking at the 2025 gamified ESET Cybersecurity Awareness Training. Let me quickly have a look at it as well. Let me just type there. Okay, so you see that there's two, right? We're going to just look at that. It's different language, but looking at this one, it's still the same that we've seen there, right? Which overall, it gives you that gamified feeling. Right, it gives you that gamified module as you actually go through it as well, right? Which is actually really amazing. Now, it doesn't come in one language; it has different languages. So you can always ask us if, for example, someone in Kenya, Somalia, wherever they are, we can actually give them the different languages or assign different languages. Now, looking at the foundational security awareness training, this is a quiz. So this is a short quiz to check how well you understand basic cybersecurity concepts. Right, so it will help you make sure you're ready to spot the different threats, phishing malware, and also unsafe practices. Right, and it's quick, useful, and it helps keep yourself or everyone safer. Okay, now you remember that we were talking about the phishing campaign. Let's say there's a phishing campaign we're running, and Bob actually clicked on the phishing campaign, and Bob got the training, but you feel like as an administrator, I need to give Bob more training. There are modules that you can actually do. Right, there's a test fail module which focuses on social engineering, and then there's a test fail another module which focuses on phishing. Now, the social engineering, it is when a person is tricked by a scenario involving manipulation. Right, this is basically someone pretending to someone they're not, or even pretending to be a colleague. Right, now the phishing one focuses on fake emails or messages designed to steal credentials from you, right, or sensitive data. So it is very important to give this, especially if people have failed and so forth. Now, looking at the reports, right, we're going to look how to manage reports. And first of all, we're going to look at the course enrollment summary, right, which is the gamified ESET security awareness training. So this basically shows us the teams who enrolled. It gives us a total number of people enrolled in this actual course, right? It gives us an overdue training. People who actually haven't even clicked or started the training, and you're able to send them a reminder as well. And then everyone who actually completed the training as well successfully, and so forth. Now I'm going to look at another report. This actual report speaks to the phishing campaign. Now, when we see this one, it speaks actually to the delivered emails, right? For example, there are four phishing emails that were successfully sent, people who clicked on the link, who opened the email, people who actually received the actual training as well, which you can always follow up and do training on all of them as we go along. Okay. Now we can look at a target individual where we look at the phishing test actions breakdown. Okay. So here it actually will give us a trail or a breakdown of time email was actually delivered, time email was actually opened, time the link was actually clicked, and the training time that was then received, right? So it gives us a training summary of what is this, right, and what is actually happening. So we also see a test summary where a user clicked on the link, where it actually gives you saying that person failed. Why? They clicked link in email. We're going to look at the test, the report, our last report that is actually created, which is the test fail report. This only shows users who actually failed the test and what happened when they did that, how many times they clicked on the actual emails or on the actual link itself. Then I'm going to show you guys how to actually generate a report. Okay, if you have questions, you're more than welcome to send them through. So we have different reports that we can actually create. We have summary reports, executive reports. We can create certain reports as well to try and make sure that we send these reports to everyone who needs it, maybe to a CEO, manager, or whatever the case may be. Now, looking at an actual live report, we currently have one campaign running. Let's actually have a look at how this actually looks, right? So this is a phishing campaign we're running right now. So as much as I'm looking at this report, right? Reports can be generated at any point you want, right? So it gives us a report of what has been happening so far as the actual campaign is still ongoing. Okay, as the actual campaign is ongoing, it updates the stats as people click, as people open the emails, and so forth. So as you can see there, it will show you the different types of clickings, what is actually being seen, and what is happening right there, and then gives us a rundown of the templates that you actually ran. So you can run multiple templates as well. You don't have to run one template where it's actually everyone knows the answer already. No, you can actually train everyone on a different template as well. Now, coming to our last part, this was actually an amazing time to be with you guys, just to show you the actual demo, how it actually looks and what we can do, right? We can do a more detailed demo. You can request demos either from sales@eset.co.za or from support@eset.co.za, right? Or even you can contact your account manager. From my side, thank you very much for just watching the demo. And very important, if you look at the stats that my colleague mentioned earlier, that most of the time, 90% of the time, businesses actually lose money because of why someone clicked on a link. So this is a very amazing tool that you can use in your company to make sure that you do not fall into the same trap, especially South Africa leading with 50% of the actual clickings and data breaches in whole of Africa. Thank you so much from my side. My name is Lucas once again. Over to you, Donnelly. Thank you.
Lucas, thank you very much for that demo and explaining how everything ties together. Um, I see there are some questions in the chat currently, and what I would like for us to do is just go through some of those questions. I think tying it all together, firstly, before we address some of the Q&A, is that understanding that knowledge is power, and we need to start equipping our South African market, our African market, with understanding that it's not just about endpoint protection, it's about the person behind that endpoint and how we need to tie it all together. So if we can just look at the chat, and I'm going to try and go as early back as I possibly can. I see there's multiple questions regarding the recording. Will it be available? Yes, it will be available to you to be shared at the end of it. Our marketing team will share that out with you guys. Lucas, there's a question here about, is there an option to use Entra ID integration for authentication to the learning portal?
Yes, there actually is, because that's not to actually log in, but to actually to get the information. So remember, I spoke about the groups where the groups are being created. That's the only integration that can actually be done when it comes to Microsoft Intra ID. There's a very important question also. I just want to answer Donnelly on the same note. There's I think it's Mishak, right, to ask this question in the chat. He asked a lot of questions, but I'm going to focus on two questions. What are the steps for opening or creating an account? You can contact us for that, and we'll give you more details in terms of the how much it costs, how to do the creation of it. Our product team is more than capable to actually assist you with that. We are specialists of this, of course, right? Then number two says, can one be both a student and an administrator for the company staff? Yes, you can. I'm actually that person. I'm an administrator and I'm also a student at the same time. So yeah, let's have a look at more questions on your side, Don.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. I know there's an interesting question about, is this multilingual for African context from Edson? So from our understanding, from a global perspective, we are working on bringing out as many languages as possible. English is the universal language that we have on the courses, and in some countries, is available. For your specific region, I think what we require is perhaps just pop us an email through to sales@eset.co.za, and we'll get an account manager to just assist you further. I think everything, just to touch on, because there are multiple questions on pricing, everything that's required on pricing, please do drop us an email at sales@eset.co.za, because we would need to just understand the environment, the users, explain how the licensing works a little bit better to you, so we can answer all pricing questions of of the chat. There was one with that asks Lucas,
Mhm.
can we advise how someone can open an account on the ECAT platform rather than the steps about how to go about it?
Yeah, so on the ECAT platform, there is a way to, it shows you how to activate and do the account. But what happens, let's say you start, just a small explanation, right? So you, the user or the administrator or our partner, would like to have a license. What you do, you request from your account manager or from sales. Then the request is then sent. Let's say you got your first license, you will get an email straight from our headquarters saying, giving you the actual license details and so forth. Then you will need to activate that license. So in activating the license, you can choose as the partner whether do you want to actually handle the whole process of sending all the phishing or creating the courses, or will you have an on will your partner have its own administrator who will do that? So all of those steps are actually given already in the actual email. Just another question as well, Don, that I see Jaden that actually sent. He says, he
Mhm.
asked, so I see to enroll for the training, you have two options, one free and the premium. And the premium, you need to pay what is the amount for rand. So the first option for the free training is the gamified one, which I mentioned that it's actually my favorite, right? It's just an experience on how the training looks and the feel of the gamified. So on the free option, you don't get a certificate, right? There's no managing of the portal, right, on the free one. So it's actually free. For example, Jaden, we may be about 200 people here, so each one can just go and do the free course on their own for their understanding. But there's no value. The value is the knowledge, but there's no value in, you don't get a certificate. There's no one who can actually look at how you actually did well, or the training and so forth. Whereas on the premium one, with the ECAT, which is the premium we're talking about, is the one where you're actually able to guide your people, assign different programs, not only just one. And the free one only speaks of one. There's multiple courses you can do on the premium. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Lucas. I see there's an interesting question from Smalinga here that says, is the ISO 27001 also in this package for those who have brought or bought the license rather?
Okay, so I would rather want to give you an illustration or an actual like a what is it, white paper for
Yes.
that specifically, so that you know exactly what you're getting yourself into. But in the shortest, it is actually also recognized under that category. Yes.
Okay, fantastic. I think we can just have a look at a another question here. Um, I see that Marius had posted, am I correct? To pass the test is 80%. I believe I saw that. Shouldn't it be 100%?
And to pass which test specifically? That is a
Well,
very like
yes.
all the tests. No. Okay,
Let's
so
look at a generic approach.
yeah, so to pass a test, you will have let's say I fail a particular test, right? What will happen is that you, as the administrator, are able to give me more tests to kind of get my knowledge at that point, right? So the 80% of the test is just basically, okay, you did well, but the 20% of information still needs to be done. So because of we have different tests running or different approaches running in terms of the courses, you can assign multiple courses for different reasons, right? For example, there's social engineering courses specifically. Then there is phishing scams, email courses specifically. So you can actually have a certain approach to all of that. So it is at the end of the day at the discretion of the company. What do you see that is coming along? Because some companies face a lot of phishing emails more than anything else, right? So you will want to deal with phishing emails more likely than anything, and then maybe the 20% would be all the other things that come along with that.
Fantastic. Thank you, Lucas. I think that is all the questions that I see so far. A lot of it relating to sales, pricing, how does the modules work? We're happy to help you with that and take it offline. If you can please just drop us an email to sales@eset.co.za, and one of the account managers will be in touch with you. We're really excited. We love the feedback that's coming through. There's definitely a need for cybersecurity awareness training. We will be sharing all of the slides with you. We'll be sharing the recording with you via our marketing team. I think what we need to understand is there is an importance. We need to drive the strategy. We need to include this into our security posture going forward. We also need to drive the education amongst our own people. To you, our partner ecosystem, and our valued customers, thank you so much for making the time to join us today. We really look forward to our engagement. What we just want to remind you is please feel free to reach out to us for any sales, any POCs, any demos. We're happy to engage. We're happy to facilitate any conversations. And if there's anything that you need, feel free to reach out to us. Thank you for spending time with us today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Just before we go, also there's another upcoming webinar that we'll be having, focusing specifically how to move from on-prem to cloud as well. Have a look at that and follow us on LinkedIn, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and we'll see you there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.